Good morning. I am so thrilled that we have so many friends and partners here today for this very exciting announcement that we have this morning. I want to just quickly thank a few people, but I want, before I even begin thanking some individuals for being here, I want to begin by thanking our Jamoki Academy and Milner Academy students for being here, representing the city of Hartford. One of the things I want you as students to keep in mind as you observe this press conference is that we are all here for you. This is all about you. It's all about the students and the young people here in the city of Hartford, and the fact that we all know that you are our future leaders here in the city. So we thank you for being here. Good morning. I am Dr. Christina Kishimoto, Superintendent of the Hartford Public Schools, and I thank you for joining us here today. I thank Commissioner Pryor for being with us, Representative Fleischman, Councilman Aponte and Councilwoman Jennings, Jose Colon Rivas, and Undersecretary Lawler, who is with us as well this morning, and all of our friends and guests together. You know, it was just 6 short years ago, depends. For some of us, it felt very long. For some of you, it may seem very short, that the Hartford Public Schools embarked in a comprehensive reform plan to make sure that we can create an educational environment in which every student is well prepared for college and career success according to their own individual aspirations. We overhauled the school system into a portfolio of high-achieving schools, and we applied instructional models and practices that focus on ensuring success for all Hartford children and youth. Most of the ideas that we put into effect have been successful. In fact, every year, consecutive years, in the past 6 years, we have raised the achievement level of students across the district of the Hartford Public Schools. And we're very excited about this. In fact, we closed the achievement gap in the past 6 years by 1/3. And so while there's work still to do, that is tremendous progress that we have made as a collective community working together. Also, our cohort graduation rate from high school we have made gains in that area by 34 percentage points. These are tremendous gains on behalf of our students. Today, as you will hear shortly, we gather here to celebrate something very special in our initiative for reform. We have two tremendous partner organizations with us, Jamoki Academy and Achievement First. But more importantly than a partnership between organizations is that this is a partnership between 3 thought leaders working together on behalf of our children. And Dr. Michael Sharp and Daisha Toe are tremendous co-leaders with me, focused on children first every single time. In 2008, in what was then considered a bold and sometimes controversial move, Hartford Public Schools entered into a partnership with Achievement First to open up our first district-affiliated charter school, the AF Hartford Academy. But when I think about this, there is nothing controversial in great thinkers, bold leaders, and outstanding organizations coming together to build our collective capacity to serve the educational needs of our students and their aspirations for college and career success. The agreement that we built called for Achievement First to provide the instructional program based on their successful model, and also to serve as a thought leader and partner with me as the superintendent of the Hartford Public Schools. The result was that in the first year, the school, AF Hartford, our students, were outperforming the state in all subjects on the Connecticut Mastery Test. Earlier this year, as part of a plan to turn around Thurman L. Milner School, a wonderful community-based school that we love in the city of Hartford, this is a school that has for a number of years been the lowest performing in the city and state, and we knew this could not continue. And so the district entered into another agreement to have the Jamoke Academy Charter Schools manage the school around its own demanding academic program. Governor Malloy and State Education Commissioner Stephen Pryor made a commitment to work with the Hartford Public Schools on our turnaround plan by making Milner part of the commissioner's network. As a member of the network, Milner Elementary School will receive additional funding from the state and technical assistance. And what's important is that we all came around the table together on behalf of our students, that this wasn't just a City of Hartford issue or a Hartford Public Schools issue. This was an issue of the children of the state of Connecticut. Our hope has always been to expand on this continued relationship with these two charter organizations so that we can increase access to quality education for all students in the city of Hartford, all of our young people. So that's what brings us here today. 2 years ago this month, Hartford became one of only 16 districts in the country to sign District Charter Collaboration Compact developed by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. By signing the compact, public schools and charter schools agreed to work together, sharing resources, best practices, facilities, and our thought leadership so that all children are prepared for college and are successful in the workforce. By signing the compact, we also made us eligible to compete for grants from the Gates Foundation, and we submitted jointly a grant proposal. Our collective proposal to Gates included 4 major initiatives. The first, to develop a cadre of high-impact school leaders. Our leaders make a difference. Second, building on the practices of all 3 partners to increase the number of effective teachers in every single classroom. Third, to implement the Common Core-based curriculum and assessments with great fidelity. And fourth, to expand the capacity of Jamoke Academy to work with us as partners to transform low-performing schools. Obviously, we would not have called you here today out of your busy schedules if we didn't have some great news to report. I would like now to introduce Mr. Noah Wetman, a partner with us out of the Gates Foundation. He is portfolio manager of the College Readiness Program at the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, to announce the outcome of our proposal. Mr. Wetman.
Thank you, Superintendent Kishimoto. I'm honored to be here today among the education champions of Hartford and Connecticut, including Governor Malloy, Commissioner Pryor, Superintendent Kishimoto, Dr. Michael Sharp, Daisha Toll, Hartford Public Schools Board President Matthew Poland, and our partner Linda Kelly, President of the Hartford Foundation for Public Giving. And let me pass on the best regards from Vicki Phillips, Director of Education at the Gates Foundation. Almost 3 years ago, a group of leaders, leading superintendent and charter leaders from around the country came together to talk about common interests and collaboration in the best interest of students in their cities. Rather than compete for students, these leaders acknowledged they share more common ground than battleground. Those discussions led to the creation of district charter collaborative compacts. The compacts support the Foundation's College Ready strategy and are designed to increase the number of students in high-performing schools regardless of governance structure. Traditional public or charter school, it doesn't really matter. What's important is providing a high-quality education. As part of the compacts, cities across the country committed to replicating high-performing schools and closing low-performing ones, addressing tensions between district and charter schools on important issues such as enrollment, disenrollment, special needs, funding and facilities, as well as advancing teacher effectiveness, implementing the Common Core, and creating next-generation school models. To some, the paradigm of collaboration is a new one. To the education leaders here in Hartford and Connecticut, it was already a part of doing business. As I worked with the teams from Hartford Public Schools, Achievement First, and Jamoke Academy, I was struck immediately by the deep level of commitment and clarity of purpose that each organization brings to operating with the best interest of all children in mind. When traditional public schools and public charter schools are willing to work together, all children in the community have a better chance of graduating high school with an education that prepares them with the skills and knowledge to succeed in college and their career. And that's exactly what's happening here in Hartford through the collaboration between Hartford Public Schools, Achievement First, and Jamoke Academy. Today, the Gates Foundation announces the first group of RFP winners among the District Charter Collaboration Compact Cities with a set of grants totaling nearly $25 million. These investments are an opportunity for 7 of the existing compact cities to accelerate their work. And I'm so happy to be here in Hartford to announce that Hartford is one of those 7 cities selected and will receive a $5 million three-year grant. As Superintendent Kishimoto said, the grant will go towards developing the most effective teachers for all students, training the next set of school leaders, implementing the Common Core, and ensuring that all students across the city have access to a quality school option. And one other note, that $5 million grant to Hartford is the largest of the 7 being announced today. There's an African proverb that hangs on the walls of the Gates Foundation. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Let me close by congratulating again Dr. Kishimoto, Achievement First's co-CEO Daisha Toll, Jamoke Academy's CEO Dr. Michael Sharp, and acknowledge the vision and courage they have to go together on behalf of the children of Hartford. Thank you and congratulations.
This is indeed great news for Hartford. And what I'm so excited about is that year after year, we continue to roll out great news on behalf of our students. And it's because of everyone who's in this room that we're able to accomplish this. I would like to introduce, with no further delay, our governor, who is our education governor and has just been a tremendous support to all the districts in the state, but also has made a special effort to support the state capital's district. And we appreciate the support and the acknowledgement. We appreciate your work as leader of this state, and we thank you for being with us today. Governor Malloy.
Thank you. Hey, this is important work that we're in the midst of doing. Connecticut used to lead the country in all forms of education. And we took our eye off the ball and we coasted for a long period of time, and then we didn't notice what other people were doing around us. And we woke up one day to understand that we were no longer in the debate about which state had the greatest schools. We were in a debate about which state had the greatest achievement gap. That's not how you want to measure yourself. And so we have set about with multiple partners, but the Bill and Melinda Gates folks are partners in this effort, to do everything we can as quickly as we can to do what we know must be done, and that is to reinvent public education in Connecticut as rapidly as we can. I love public schools. 90% of our children in the United States will be educated in public schools. Now, those public schools don't all have to look alike. They don't all have to be in the same type of building. They certainly don't have to have the same hours as buildings down the street have. What we have to be willing to do is get outside of our comfort level and outside of the boxes that we've put ourselves in. We have to break the borders of those squares that we have solidly stood in for the better part of 120 years in public education, if we're going to educate our young people properly so that they can compete amongst the 50 states and all of the countries of the world. This is important work, and we need good allies in bringing this about. That's why this grant of $5 million is so very important to carry on the work that the superintendent and others sitting before you have actually done in Hartford and in other ways throughout the state. Earlier this week, we celebrated the recognition of an extended hours program in the Meriden school system, in the East Hartford school system, and in the New London school system. All Alliance district systems that represent 30 districts that are lower performing in our state as we measure that, but actually educate 41% of our children. Most of those districts are very urban districts, confronting issues that aren't confronted in smaller, wealthier communities. But the product coming into those school systems, in kindergarten or pre-K, cannot prejudge the success of the product going out of those systems after grade 12. That's the box that we have historically put ourselves in. And now we have to move well beyond that. I have been very clear in all of my discussions about education that it is no longer, we can no longer measure ourselves by whether we have distributed opportunity, when in fact opportunity in the way that we've distributed it is not accepted by a large portion of our population. To lose 40% of students in Hartford, Bridgeport, and New Haven, in New London and New Britain makes no sense at all and cannot be a justification for going back year after year after year and doing the same thing. Now, I believe that Connecticut has made some tremendous progress because of the legislators' understanding that we needed to pass a package, because of the involvement also, increasing involvement now, of professional organizations for teachers who now understand that this is intended to be a collaborative effort, that we can move forward together, that we can find areas of common agreement, and we'll do that. But I have to be very clear to the Bill and Melinda Gates folks and everybody out there who's helping to fund some of this innovation. We need you. We need this $5 million. If you got another 5, we'll take that. You got another 5 after that, we'll take that. Because Connecticut is on the move. We're ready to go. We've proven that. The most comprehensive single package in education reform of any of the 50 states. That's not me saying that. That's the Secretary of Education having said that. Success in extending school hours. We have 11 districts in this state right now that are working at extending school hours. In 3 districts alone, working at schools to extend the year by 300 hours. Now that's an innovation that comes out of a different type of public school, a charter school. But if it works there, it's going to work elsewhere. And there's this growing agreement that we should not categorize where good ideas come from. We should replicate good ideas. Final point, and I say this every education speech I give, and the poor commissioner of education who has to listen to me all the time when he invites me to things has heard this. Almost every one of those 30 districts that are in the Alliance arrangement has a high-performing school in its midst. But it is more likely to repeat the lessons from a low-performing school than it is a high-performing school. And what we are in the midst of doing is changing that paradigm. Thinking outside the box. Moving well beyond where we were to where we have to be. So I want to thank everyone who's been associated with this application. I want to thank the Bill and Melinda Gates. I'll no longer sit around the table and hear the folks from Bill and Melinda Gates give advice on how we can change education and then turn and say, where's my money? It will have arrived. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Governor. I'd like to also have Commissioner Stephen Pryor and thank him for his time in being here today. He is a great partner with the Hartford Public Schools as well.
Greetings. Let me note in advance, please forgive me, I'm going to hop in and out. We have a State Board of Education meeting that is underway as we speak. but I stepped away from it because this is so important. And because this superintendent is engaged in such superior leadership. I want to begin by saying that the governor has left the room, but his spirit and energy hasn't. And I want to note that it is his immutable and unstoppable commitment to public education that is making things happen in our state. And it is such a privilege to serve in this capacity under this governor. And the Hartford team, in particular, is getting the job done. And I have been so remarkably impressed with Superintendent Christina Kishimoto and the momentum that she is generating every single day in Hartford against the odds, breaking down the barriers, forming the partnerships to get it done. And Christina, we salute you. And we know that you are getting it done with Matt Poland. Chairman Matt Poland is doing a phenomenal job. And they make a great team. And the innovations that you will unleash as between district administration and board are many. The possibilities have been delineated here today already, but the idea of going beyond insular domains within public education, traditional Board of Education public schools, public charter schools, going beyond those domains and collaborating, that is the essential work. We must look to successful practices wherever we find them and replicate them, emulate them, draw upon them, expand them.
Over a year.
We can no longer simply
if
sit
any money is borrowed,
in camps
if any money is borrowed,
and
to maintain
and hope for progress,
cash flow.
speaking
It's
well
pretty
or
cheap
ill
money.
of each other, whatever the
Put it
case
in
may be.
perspective,
The time has come
this was
for
done
true
under
partnership.
Governor Rell's
And what's
administration. It was a
ingenious
3 percentage
about
points. This is
the
56
partnership
basis
that
points
is
that we're looking
articulated in this Gates grant application and this program that Christina has produced
And we're
is
not.
that
No,
it
no,
is
we're
truly
not.
reciprocal.
No, we're not.
There are charter
I don't mean to
practices that will
rude
be
and correct
adopted
you.
and drawn
What
upon
the
in the
prior
Hartford Public
administration
Schools,
did
and there are
was go
Hartford
out
Public
and borrow,
Schools practices and
over $1 billion
programs that will
at
be
the
drawn
same
upon
time that they were
by the charter
exhausting,
school organizations involved.
the rainy day fund.
The
If I
Fuse
had a
organization that has
$1.3
emerged
billion
from
rainy day fund,
Jamoki
quite
Academy
frankly, if I
and
had
the
a
Achievement
$500
First
million
organization
rainy day fund,
that has
as opposed
emerged
to
from
having
its
found
original
the
school,
state with
Amistad
the public
Academy,
there,
are true
we wouldn't be in this
exemplars.
position.
And they're
But this is
exemplars
all
not
about cash
just
flow. It's not about
as
borrowing to
high-performing
support
organizations. They
operating,
are that. But
costs.
in
So
both
we have
cases,
nothing
they
to
have
worry about.
already
No, you
stepped
don't.
up
I mean,
in their districts
listen,
and have enabled collaboration.
families
In
have
both
lines of
cases,
credit,
they are
or they go
doing
out,
this
and
most
raise cash
essential
when they
work.
know that they're going
And
to
it's been
have,
such a privilege to work with Michael Sharp in the Milner partnership.
when things
It's
are tough,
beautiful
so
to
that they can be
have
ready
young
for it.
people represented
This is to
today
be
who
ready
are the
for it. It's
beneficiaries
not,
and the
this is not
participants.
borrowing to sustain operating expenses.
And how goes the science here of cutting the spending that you have
And
to
I have to
present to
say,
the legislature
Dr.
by
Sharp,
the 17th?
we've had
I'm
our most
ready.
recent meeting, we've
But
had
I wanna do this on a
probably a dozen
bipartisan
meetings
basis.
jointly
So,
with Dr. Kishimoto on the
I'm urging,
activity and progress at
everybody
Milner
to,
that we're
to come
undertaking together and that
and
you are
to do
leading.
this,
Let's be clear that
in
you
a
are
joint
leading with the
basis.
state in support and in
But I'll
partnership.
give some guidance
And I'm
on
just
how
so
we
impressed,
might get
Dr.
there.
Sharp, with
Commissioner
the
Barnes has
intricacy
said-
of your
had
knowledge
indicated to
of
us last week that there might be some facilities closed.
items
Still
where
on the table.
progress is being made and the barriers. And the barriers are many. And Chairman
think,
Fleischman,
you know, you should go back
we
to
are
him to
deeply
have that discussion.
grateful to you for
I
helping
don't
to
think
shape
there's-
and to
I mean,
pass the education reform bill that fuels
You're not ready to
these
tell me, is that
initiatives
it?
No,
that we draw upon.
I'm not sure that
and
that's
we
the
are
case,
grateful
and so
for
we
your
might wanna come back
receptivity
to
as to where the
that.
barriers
All right.
remain and what we can do to
Thank
work
you.
as we go forward. And Andy Fleischman, we will continue to rely upon you. And Daisha Toll, my longtime colleague and partner, and I'm so remarkably impressed with your work every single day and the majestic progress that you make, not just in your individual schools, which you do, but in forming partnerships where your schools exist. Achievement First makes us proud, and this partnership ever more so. You know, the governor talked about the nature of reform, and he referenced the fact that this has been a big week. We, in addition to the Gates support, we have received support from the National Center of Time and Learning and the Ford Foundation for our extended time initiatives in 3 districts. And as the governor indicated, there are 11 districts altogether that are taking on extended time initiatives in general. One note coming out of that experience is that the National Center on Time and Learning tabulated in all the schools across the country, schools that in their view met the criteria, the 300 hours, the other rigorous elements that make an extended time school work. In Connecticut's tabulation, Our cluster of schools had representation from 42% charter schools. Among the public schools that are doing extended time right, more than 40% were charter schools. Well, charter schools make up only 2% of the total number of public schools in our state. There are practices that are vested in charter schools that we must adapt and adopt within the broader public school system. And likewise, in the Hartford School District, we are seeing remarkable work done around the portfolio management of schools, around preparation for the Common Core, around the fundamental way in which the district is managed. Many of those practices can be translated back to the charter school systems themselves. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the work. We must be agnostic on governance and management. We must be focused obsessively on performance. And I'm so grateful to this superintendent for leading the way. We will continue to support you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Commissioner. There are a few other speakers, but I don't want to delay in bringing up Dr. Sharp and Daisha Toll, who are partners and should be up here with me to share their remarks about this partnership and the exciting work that's happening here in this collaboration.
Thank you, Superintendent. This is an amazing day. 15 years ago, Jamoke Academy opened its doors, and over the past 15 years, I think we've done some incredible work in terms of improving learning for students that we serve in Hartford, and in particular North Hartford community. But the most amazing thing is I walked around this room today and shaking hands and just seeing old friends. The number of people that are sitting in this room that helped Jamoke become a reality. It just really speaks to the village raising the child, because everyone I shook hands with, exactly. I just so many people who were helping us and we didn't even know you were helping us. And I just want to take this opportunity to just thank you, because I see so many faces in this room that made Jamoke a real reality. 5 years ago, after 10 years of trying to figure out how to get it right, we started having substantial results in terms of our students, in fact, had closed the achievement gap in all of the subjects. And we were scoring at or above the state average. And so we began to look at and have conversations with Superintendent Kishimoto just in the past couple of years. How do we scale that up? How do we become a partner so that we can impact on more students? And her sort of innovation in this area in terms of saying, let's figure it out, has been really instrumental in us getting to the point where we can say we're working on a project like Milner School. This is so important to us because much of what we've done for the past 15 years has been getting to the point where we could give back and contribute on a larger scale. And I'm going to be very, very brief, but I cannot miss this opportunity for my Milner scholars to stand and just stand up Milner. Jamoke at Milner. And right behind them, we opened this year Jamoke Academy at the Hartford Conservatory. It's a performing arts school. That's their extended day program. But during the day, they get the same rigorous academic program as our other Jamoke schools. And the Jamoke Academy at the Hartford Conservatory, could you stand, please? And then there's Jamoke Academy, our flagship middle school, Jamoke Academy, called JAWS Smart, which is Science, Math, and Research Technology. They are one of the highest performing middle schools anywhere, so we won't even say they're just great students. Would you stand, please? So I just really want to just say that when you think about what the Gates Foundation has done along with with this collaboration, they have given the means for us to really put some meat into the work that we're doing in the city of Hartford. And they are allowing, at least from the portion that the Jamoke Academy is working on, along with Dacia Achievement First, we can now drill down and really provide some additional work for more students in the city of Hartford. And so I just want to thank the Gates Foundation for that. And I just want to thank the superintendent for your leadership. And I really appreciate it. Now my buddy, Dacia and I have been working together since 1998 or something, and we call each other and cry on each other's shoulders when things aren't going right.
Good morning. Good morning. It is exciting to be able to just describe in a little more detail the nature of our partnership. And I think what impressed the Gates Foundation, Noah, with your permission to put words in your mouth, is not that a group came together to chase a grant opportunity, which we know happens in this country, but that rather we were engaged in the meaningful work. And the Gates Foundation recognized that we were engaged in the meaningful work and decided to support it. So what is that work? I think there are two dimensions to it. And the first started with Superintendent Adamowski, who I'm glad is here, and is very much and has very much continued under the leadership, the excellent leadership of Superintendent Kishimoto. The first was this very important concept of a portfolio of schools and of a system of public school choice, where the goal is to have outstanding public schools for all kids and to give parents and students meaningful choice. And to say in that process, we're agnostic about governance structure, and if great public charter schools are getting the job done, then we want more great public charter schools, and that we're not just going to say it in terms of rhetoric, but we're actually going to put our public resources, and specifically our public school buildings, that we're going to provide access to our public school buildings on the same terms as we do traditional public schools. 5 years ago when we started down that path, it was innovative and amongst the first in the country. There are now others following the lead of Hartford, but effectively when Superintendent Adamowski said to me, pay your rent in student achievement, that is effectively what we have been trying to do over the last 5 years. And I'm pleased to say, just on that note, AF Hartford had its first group of 8th graders last year, but when those kids started with us, their 4th grade scores before coming to us in 5th grade, only 23% of them were scoring at or above goal on the Connecticut Mastery Test, 23%. 4 years later, same kids, 75% are scoring at goal. I'm not talking about proficiency, at goal. So I hope that satisfies as a rent payment on the Fox building. We're certainly very happy to be there. So that's the first part of the partnership, and it was innovative 5 years ago. It is now being copied across the country, but honestly not with the same level of integrity that you will find it here in Hartford in terms of a true commitment to a system of public school choice and to excellence. The second part of the partnership started in a lot of different ways, but with Chairman Fleischman did challenge me several years ago. It's great what you're doing in your schools, Dacia, but what's the larger conversation look like here in terms of what's good for kids, and how are you a part of that? And so that has to do with actually doing the work together. And while I think there are other districts across the country trying to pursue a portfolio strategy where there are more public charter schools receiving more support, there are very few districts where the charters and the district schools are genuinely doing the work together. And so from our side, in talking with the district, again, before there was Gates funding even on the horizon, we just were talking about doing the work. And when Hartford said one of our biggest needs is preparing outstanding school leaders to run our schools, and we were simultaneously working on a leadership development program. And so now we're very proud to run a leadership development program that works with principals from Bridgeport, Hartford, New Haven, and Achievement First, and prepares them to run outstanding schools in all of these contexts. It's a year-long training program. It's very promising. It involves internships in both Achievement First schools and traditional public schools and year-round training. On the flip side, we are very excited. I think we're all bracing as a state and trying to get ready for the Common Core assessments that our students will need to measure up to the higher standards in 2 years. And we're excited to watch Hartford Public Schools is led in this way. And specifically, they've led with some computer-based assessments that we know we need to replicate within our system. And so when we say it goes both ways, we really mean it. And there's just a tremendous amount of good work going on. And it is special what's happening here. And I am very grateful for the partnership and the shared tears with Dr. Sharp over the years in terms of how challenging this work is. But yes, the work is challenging, but there is tremendous hope and confidence in the future of Hartford, thanks to Dr. Kishimoto and to this partnership. Thank you very much.
So, as the three organizational leaders, educational leaders are standing up here, we want to, the three of us would like to welcome up Linda Kelly, who is the president of the Hartford Foundation, who has stepped in and worked with us and will continue to work with us during this grant period to provide her expertise. We're very excited to have the foundation as a partner. Linda.
This is a great day. And what we know when we sit here, those of you who are attending, those of us who are standing here and are presenting today, is that it takes our collective efforts. It is the full community that must be engaged and target our resources to providing the best possible education for every single child, regardless of circumstance. And as we look at these young children who are here today, they should serve as a constant reminder to us as to why we are here and why the Gates Foundation is here. The Hartford Foundation for Public Giving has been pleased to participate in the educational process in Hartford for many, many years. We worked with Achievement First when they came to Hartford. We are now also invested with Jamoke Academy at Milner in helping to improve the situation and providing a very strong quality education for the children there. A very close relationship with Dr. Kishimoto and before her, Dr. Adamowski, in working for the betterment of the children of the city of Hartford. In saying that it takes a full community, it's a very broad community, and that includes the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, because it's important for every child, wherever located, to have a strong education. They have recognized the efforts here in Hartford, and the Hartford Foundation for Public Giving is so very pleased to be able to partner with our philanthropic partner here, the Gates Foundation, in assuring that this process can move forward. We are pleased to be here and so grateful and look forward to working with Dr. Kishimoto, Dr. Sharp, and Daisha Toll as we move forward in improving the educational quality for all students in this area. Thank you.
We are going to open up for questions in a few minutes. I want to just invite Representative Fleischman to come up if he wants to say a few words. I know he's joined us here. I appreciate that. Thank you.
I just want to say how happy and honored I am to be here with all of you. The things that you are doing together, and I look around the folks up here and the folks across the room, including Dr. Adamowski sitting there proudly in back, as you should, the father of all these efforts that are now so beautifully flowering. It's a great day for Hartford. It's a great day for the state of Connecticut. It's a great day for the children who are getting what they need and deserve. Do you know, when I first became chairman of the Education Committee, one of the things that was always foremost in my mind was what was happening at Milner School. Because it was very near to where we are right now, and the results were not improving. And there were lots of discussions, but things really started to move when we got a new governor who said we've got to be prepared to ignore the old shibboleths and take new approaches. And we got a new education commissioner who said we have to be agnostic about the form of governance. And we got leadership in the city of Hartford that said we have to be prepared to collaborate with everyone to get the best results for the children. It was that great combination of ingredients that has created this wonderful result that we see here today. So I commend everyone who has been part of this. I particularly welcome the Gates Foundation to the table and to this wonderful collaboration, and I look forward to seeing you here, not just in Hartford, but in many other communities. Because I can tell you that in the city of Bridgeport, they're doing fantastic things. In the city of New Haven, they're doing fantastic things. In the city of Norwich, in the city of New London, in the city of New Britain. I'll be happy to sit down with you later to talk to you about all the innovation that's occurring, not in response to grant opportunities, but in response to children's educational necessity and the awareness that these type of collaborations that you've heard about today are the future of Connecticut. So thank you, and thank all of you.
So the final two speakers are my partners in education, Matt Poland, who is the board chairman for the Hartford Board of Education, and my partner, Daley, and Sandra Key Burgess, who is representing the city of Hartford. The mayor could not be here today, but certainly there is a tremendous partnership between the Board of Education and the city of Hartford. And while I introduce them and give them an opportunity to give their remarks as well, this is so important to all three of us as partners. We thank Dr. Adamowski and David McDonald as they pass the baton to us as we continue leading. We continue to elevate and advance the work in the city of Hartford to those we will at some point pass the baton to as well, because this is so important to keep building this great city. Matt?
Good morning. The mayor regrets that he could not be here today, but he did ask me to say a few remarks. First of all, to let you know how thrilled he is about this grant today, and really to send a warm, warm thank you to the Gates Foundation for caring about our kids, for your leadership, for your vision, and really just for being in Hartford. And we're glad that we got you first. We understand that there are many other communities throughout the state that require your assistance, but we need you, and we need you bad, and we're so glad that you're here. So let me also just thank the state of Connecticut for caring about our kids, for caring about Hartford, our partners, the Hartford Foundation, not only our partner in education, but our partner in so many things that are important and critical to our city. I know that we do have some council persons here, and I certainly can speak on their behalf in letting all of our partners, Jamoki, the Achievement First people, know how much we really appreciate everything that you do for us. It is important to emphasize the leadership for our kids. They're our role models. They're the people that we hope that you're going to emulate. And I look forward to the day when you all are standing up here and talking about all the advancements in education, and we're sitting in the audience listening to you. So this is all about you all, and we're so pleased for you. And let me just say on a personal note that I was here, I don't know, probably close to 20 years ago when Michael Sharp's mom, Thelma Dickerson, came up with a vision for Jamoki Academy. And I remember she came and she was so excited about the concept, and she said, you know, I want to start a charter school, and it's going to be called Jamoki Academy. And our reaction was like, what? What are you talking about? What's a charter school? Jamoki Academy, it's never going to work. You know, and she's here today. I can feel her smiling, and she's so proud. She's so proud of the accomplishments and of everything that you all have done as kids. So I just want to say congratulations to you, and thank you. And thank your mom for her vision. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. As you've heard, and I want to reiterate, this is a great moment for Hartford and for the Hartford Public Schools. It's validation, not that we really needed it, but it's validation of the district's early vision that partnering with charter schools would result in positive results for our students. No doubt about that. From 2008, when the Hartford Foundation for Public Giving helped us establish the only district affiliated with the charter school, this project, this process has been successful. We know it, we see it. It's witnessed by these wonderful youngsters who are here today and why we do the work that we do every day. You heard this morning from both Daisha and Michael about the tremendous progress that they've made, the achievement gap closing in these organizations, and not just tiny percentages, but significant ways, which bodes well for where we're going to head in the future. The board and now the Bill and Gates Foundation has high expectations that the district charter collaboration will continue to yield positive results in the years ahead. Now that we can be facilitated by a significant investment in Jamoki's capacity to turn around Milner and other schools in our district. Today, with this good news, we are at an inflection point in the reform process and in the development of this particular project. It's a moment of dramatic change and possibility. And on behalf of the Hartford Board of Education and the citizens that we all represent, I want to thank the Gates Foundation for showing faith in our decision-making and our resolve to provide our children with every possible opportunity to succeed. But the real thanks goes to the educators, and I want to thank Christina, the leadership of the district, and the entire staff of Hartford Public Schools for their unrelenting, passionate commitment to the success of every child. Thank you very much. Thank you, Christina.
I want to thank everyone who has wrapped themselves around our children and lifted this district up collectively. I'd like to call up Noah and to join us as well and just open it up in case there are questions from the press about the work that we are engaged with together. Any questions? Yes.
Do you plan to work with the teachers union further to try to gain their support for these particular initiatives?
We continue to work very closely with the teachers union on a number of matters. In fact, in everything that we do in the city of Hartford and in Hartford Public Schools, we need the support of the teachers union because they represent our teachers, our 1,700 teachers in the school district. And one of the things I'm extremely proud of, and I constantly talk about with the teachers union, is that the Hartford Public Schools has some of the best teachers in this state, and we're very proud of them. And we work collectively and together, collaboratively, to make sure that all of our work is supportive of them and their continued capacity building because they represent the high quality education of our students. So we will continue to work with them, yes.
Noah, can you elaborate on, you made mention that Hartford received the largest grant on what accounted for that?
It was really based on the strength of their proposal and the initiatives they decided to undertake. All of the proposals were evaluated really on the level of commitment and the boldness being proposed. And I mean, it wasn't designed, we didn't set out to have numbers in mind, but as we went through the process, the proposal that Hartford submitted and amounts that they were proposing felt like the right amount to award.
Connecticut has had a charter school movement since the mid-1990s, and yet over the years since that time, advocates for charters and advocates for traditional public schools have sometimes clashed and have not always cooperated. How does this grant affect the larger charter movement beyond just the city of Hartford? I'd like to get somebody's thoughts on that.
Just very quickly, I think what it does is it demonstrates when a public school district and charter schools collaborate, they work together, they develop strategies that impact all of the children, we can scale up dramatically the achievement of children in our communities. So we really need to get to the point where we're talking about quality versus whether it's public, traditional, or charter publics. And so I think that's one of the really key things that it does, and Daisha may have another perspective on that.
I think just elaborating on it, I think, Bob, as you know, is a keen observer of these trends. I think we started to change things several years ago, and this is just a further milestone along the changing of the dialogue. But I think really with Hartford's leadership back in 2008, there was such an obvious example of a traditional district and a public charter school coming together focused on what was best for kids. That started the momentum that other districts in this state have picked up. And I think what this does is just very clearly reward and recognize that kind of collaboration and want to put further wind in the sails to encourage us to keep going on behalf of kids.
Other questions? One last question? I want to thank everyone for being here. Richard, I just spotted you in the back from Concan. Thank you for joining us as well. I thank everyone for being here with us today in support of our students.